There is an enduring archetype of the dying composer who, on his deathbed, summons the last embers of his creative energy to produce a masterpiece before breathing his last. The foremost embodiment of this romantic ideal is of course Mozart with his Requiem, but only slightly less well known is Giovanni Battista Pergolesi, who after an early promising career contracted tuberculosis and died in 1736, at the age of only 26. Romantic historians would have us believe that he coughed away his life seconds after completing his setting of Stabat Mater Dolorosa, the lengthy poem that vividly portrays the Virgin Mary's suffering as she watches her son die. Pergolesi would have certainly timed his death well, being able to finish all 800 bars of this work and then write a Salve Regina to accompany it. Pergolesi's autograph manuscript survives, and it tells us much. His penmanship is atrocious, and he was clearly under some time pressure to complete the work, but it was presumably a worldly deadline rather than a celestial one. He writes fewer details in the music as the work progresses. There are fewer bass figures, slurs, ornaments, and dynamics, and there is more instrumental doubling. Pergolesi numbers each section, but he misses out the number 9. This may be for one of two reasons. Perhaps he was handing each section to a copyist as soon as it was completed, and he forgot his count. Alternatively, perhaps he wrote 2 sections and then rewrote them as one lengthy setting. It's interesting that number 8 is Sancta Maria, which contains 5 verses of the poem, while all the other sections use no more than 2. This would suggest the tantalizing possibility that somewhere lurks a manuscript of Pergolesi's original discarded vision for those verses. Pergolesi's setting was one of the most copied pieces of music in the 18th century. Hundreds of manuscripts were produced, many of them fraudulently described as autographs in order to bump up the price. Many of these copies contain variations from Pergolesi's original, and these changes are often consistent where found. And so we have the musicologist's dilemma. Which is the true version? Did Pergolesi himself make these amendments after his original draft? Or did someone else do it? But that these amendments represent the work as it was performed at the time and as it found its fame. Should we acknowledge the manner in which the work was presented to the world, regardless of whether that was Pergolesi's own intentions, or should we ignore all of that and only accept the evidence from the pure form of his autograph? This is, of course, a similar dilemma to that which we face with other pieces of music, such as Allegri's Miserere. But that's another story.